The Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV. The Final Fantasy XIV documentary continues today with episode 5, and oh wow, today we will see how A Realm Reborn was made, and we will see the end of Final Fantasy XIV version 1.0. So I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And yeah, let's have a look at this documentary. I think Speakers Network did really a great job with it. And then he gathered so many informations, it's insane. Yeah, that's the end. I hope we'll see some footage of it as well. Oh, wow. I want to see footage of actual players in the game. What happens in the last seconds, minutes. I think we still have at least 2 or 3 more episodes for this whole documentary, right? The Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV.
Hello Eorzeans! Welcome to the Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV, Episode 5. I'm Lukiel Bravestone, and here's a quick update on what's happening on this channel in the future. This series will go into a short break after this episode before we tackle the 2.x era, but fear not, in the meantime I'll start working on 2 new projects. First off will be Remnants of a Realm, a series dedicated to showcasing the remnants of 1.0 still very much visible and accessible in the current game. Following that series we'll have Chronicles of a Realm, which will show the 1.0 main story.
How many documentaries did he work on? That's insane.
Story. And when that is done,
that's
Fall
cool.
and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV will return. And lastly, thank you all for your feedback on the previous video.
This should be on Netflix. Oh yeah, that's a nice comment right there. But it's really well made. I agree.
Is preparing for massive changes, and in April 2012, Square Enix announced that Final Fantasy XIV would implement a legacy status for anyone subscribed for 90 days from January 2012 till beta testing for 2.0 starts. This would give you, in addition to bragging rights, a cheaper monthly subscription fee, your name in the game's credits, and a Legacy Chocobo exclusive to Legacy players.
Wow.
Gaming news outlets reports on Final Fantasy XIV's progress with careful optimism, still only viewing 2.0 as a content patch to be released around October of 2012. Meanwhile, Dalamud creeps ever closer. Patch 1.22 is released on April the 25th, 2012, and at this point, Dalamud was now so visible in the sky, there was no longer any doubt that Eorzea was about to face its darkest days.
Yeah, that's huge.
In addition to Dalamud getting closer, Garuda was introduced to the game, and she was actually not supposed to be there. Titan was slated to be released before Garuda, but due to the 2011...
Wow, how did Titan look like back then?
Introducing an earthquake primal to the game this early on could be offensive. So despite having completed the arena and had the...
Used to be a jelly version of him, or what?
They gave way to Garuda instead. Sorry Titan, you just have to wait. And with this update, Hamlet Defense was introduced.
Hamlet Defense? What is that?
Big events taking place in, well, hamlets. These were basically settlements located around Eorzea. However, when it was first implemented in patch 1.22, Hurstmill was the only hamlet defense available. The goal of a hamlet defense was, as the name suggests, to defend the hamlet from beast tribes trying to attack and pillage it. The hamlet defense was divided into 2 phases.
Hey, this reminds me a lot of Fates. There are some Fates where actually the same happens. There's a bridge and the bridge is under attack, and you see guards fight against them and you have to help defend it. And there are also some where there are buildings and stuff, or villages, and they're being raided too. Oh yeah, I actually did some Fates that are like those hamlet defenses, yeah.
A 50-hour non-combat phase where players could enhance the hamlet and prepare it for battle, and a 25-hour combat phase where players joined the local...
That's the alpha phase, right?
Tribes directly.
Alpha.
Hamlets provided something for everyone, and was widely considered a success for Final Fantasy XIV.
I think they are fun.
Gatherers work together with combat classes in the same content, which was sorely needed and actually worked to a degree.
I love that actually, when they're like freaking raids. I used to love that in Minecraft a lot.
During the non-combat phase of Hamlet defense, players were asked to contribute to the Hamlet's stockpiles by crafting and delivering several different items.
Is that the old way? Wait.
Supply rating of 0.
Wait, I think... Okay, I'm a male Lalafare, so I probably run a bit different. But I think the way they were running back then looks very funny. I think they reworked it, right? Because now they walk a bit differently.
Players were asked to contribute to the Hamlet's stockpiles by
it's so
crafting
cute,
and delivering several different
Ashy
items.
Horoki.
Hamlet starts off the phase with a supply rating of 0. Each donation to the Hamlet militia is converted into points, which was then added to the Hamlet's total. When this total reached a certain amount, the Hamlet's supply rating would increase. This rating did not only determine the strength of the Beastmen forces, but also the type of rewards offered after the combat phase.
The more difficult, the better the
truly
rewards.
Unique part of the system was the fact that all disciplines could join, be it gatherers or crafters, disciples of war or magic.
Wait, crafters too?
Play. During the first phase, disciples of war and magic would complete escort duties to accumulate supply points.
Oh no,
disciples of the land and hand crafted and gathered items requested by the Hamlet's militia quartermaster. You could also deliver any materia-enhanced weapon or gear to accumulate supply points. Once the 50 hours of preparation ended, the supply rating was locked and the assault commenced. However, the fights were instanced, so you had to talk to the militia captain to be let into the action.
Oh wow.
A full party was required to enter, and if you successfully won a battle, you could not come back until 15 minutes had passed. Now the interesting part
That's
here
good
is
though.
that
It's just 15 minutes. Imagine this was just daily.
As well.
Like one time.
Inside, a disciple of the land could collect alchemical pots that were stored throughout the hamlet and delivering them to the militia quartermaster, resulting in different enfeeblements.
Oh, you can do that too?
Would enhance the other players by crafting instruments of warfare with parts found all around the hamlet.
So crafters have a use too.
Quartermaster. In this system, all classes work together for a common goal. The main objective of this phase was to protect the...
Oh, well, I actually like those hamlets. They're no longer existing, right? Not really, right? I think this is actually a bit more interesting than the Fates. I mean, the Fates, like, some of them are sort of like hamlets, but that you can use, like, crafters and you can give, like, stuff to like, players and they get, like, a buff and stuff. I think that's so cool. It's an interesting design. Like, a very good idea.
The 4 supply carts located around the hamlet. If all 4 carts were lost, the mission would fail.
Wow.
If protecting the carts were successful, the mission would be deemed a success and you would be presented with a final score. Speaking to the militia captain before leaving the instance, you would receive a reward. The reward was calculated on your score during the battle phase, but also on your contribution during the first phase. As long as the combat phase was going on, you could repeat the battle as many times as you wanted.
Wow.
With this content, core Final Fantasy XIV players were starting to really settle into the game.
Yeah, because it's fun.
The joy is to be short-lived. Eorzea is already changing, Imperial strongholds are being erected in Mordona, and adventurers all over Eorzea started having bad dreams.
Oh no. Because of the moon. They're wondering what that is. Wait, if you logged out from an inn and logged back in after a certain amount of time, there was a chance this cutscene would play. So you're like the last survivor or something? They're all disappearing. Excuse me. Oh shit, what's going on here? There was the Admiral! That was Merwhip. 1 second. Let me find her, let me find her. That's the Admiral. But she survived though. Who the heck is this? That's a Dragoon? Looks like that from the shadow, right? That's a Dragoon! That's an Imperial Dragoon, holy shit.
On the official forums, players are desperately trying to figure out the meaning of this approaching moon. The community is split. What does Dalamud
We need to
do
find Bruce
exactly?
Willis and
Will
Fest.
it become a second planet we can visit? Will it hit Eorzea? And if it does, what will it mean for the future of the realm? Will the entire world get blown
Bigger
away
than usual,
to
yeah.
start anew in 2.0? Square Enix and the dev team is tight-lipped, but the new 7th Umbral storyline reveals ever more information about the Red Moon, indicating that
Like 2
Eorzea
moons.
might very well be headed for an era-ending calamity.
Oh.
During E3, on June 6th, 2020...
You know what this reminds me of with the freaking moon and how it gets bigger? Now I'm getting like Zelda Majora's Mask flashbacks. Like, I used to play this game a lot, like Zelda Majora's Mask, and that's the same. Like one day, like day 1, the moon is small. Day 2, it's really getting bigger, and day 3, it's like huge. Just like that.
12. Square Enix finally revealed the in-game screenshots for 2.0,
It's like a Zelda
as
reference
well as some
almost.
really neat concept art, showing off the new battle system, UI, and
Wow.
world design.
Oh,
And there,
that looks so pretty
in the
what they
midst of
draw
all
there.
these pictures,
Wow,
one
so
image
beautiful.
stuck out. The one thing players had been worried about for a long time finally reveals its ugly face in what seemed to be a pre-rendered image, Dalamud. Followed by a picture of a warrior in a burning landscape. If you didn't freak out before, you certainly were now. Still not explaining exactly what Dalamud's role will be in the transition from 1.0 to 2.0, players were left to speculate. Meanwhile, Final Fantasy XIV is recovering. Player numbers are stabilizing for the first time since release.
That's nice.
The pressure is on the dev team to ensure
Oh,
that
look at that ugly
players
thingy.
don't jump ship when the game relaunches.
So much saliva.
When designing the new areas, it was decided that the city-states would
Hunga,
remain
hunga.
largely the same, but with a few design changes to make them easier to
The
navigate.
map looks so much
Limsa,
better.
Lominsa, and Gridania saw the biggest changes, with areas being cut off and in some cases removed entirely.
That looks cleaner.
Ul'dah was to be kept more or less the same. However, with the optimization in mind, Ul'dah's main entrance could finally be opened, albeit with a loading screen.
Finally.
In 1.0, in order to hide the invisible loading going
Imagine
on in
it
the
would still
background,
not be open.
entry to Ul'dah from Thanalan was done from the sides, forcing you to run through a long corridor before coming in, despite having a massive gate right in front of you.
Yeah, that's annoying.
To deal with the
Exactly.
challenge of making the game work on both PC and PS3,
Holy shit.
the dev team had to make sure the maps were properly optimized. The 1.0 maps were mostly empty, but massive, at the expense of client and server stability.
Wow.
For 2.0, they envisioned a more living, breathing
Glad
world
they
but
removed
at a
this.
slightly smaller scale, separating the massive maps into several smaller
Much
maps
better.
to ensure that the zones could have a lot going on in them while still running smoothly on both systems. July 25th, 2012.
Patch
At
1.23.
Dalamud is now so close, the mechanical parts of the moon are now clearly visible. Clear
Mechanical
white lines
parts.
pulsating through what
This is
looks
like the
metal
freaking Death
plating
Star.
is lighting up the sky, and the intentions are now clear. The Garleans want to pull Dalamud down to Hydaelyn, and you have to stop them, cause surely we will, right? This also saw the last and often overlooked content to be added to the game. Skirmish! A
Skirmish!
party of up to 8 players on an island where they would be fighting waves of powerful notorious monster strength bosses. It was basically
No, skirmish
like
are
a
fate.
dungeon,
Skirmish.
except there was only one small area and the bosses would come to you, so yeah. The time limit was 30 minutes and
But-
the reward for completing a skirmish was a main hand weapon. Shortly after this patch, a trailer for 2.0 was released, showing Dalamud's descent, and the name A Realm Reborn is finally revealed. In the
Wow.
span of a month, Naoki Yoshida
Now people can
made
guess
numerous
what's gonna
interviews
happen.
explaining his plans for the future of Final Fantasy XIV with A Realm Reborn, teasing features such as free companies and a revamped lodestone, as well as stating that
Free
Final
companies
Fantasy
are the
XIV
best
will
thing.
no longer have a grind-oriented leveling system, but instead have a quest and content-driven leveling system, further specifying that,
Much
quote,
better.
no longer will randomly defeating public monsters be the most efficient way to level your character.
Sorry, I need to applaud for that. Finally. Like, actually, I hate this a lot when you have to grind so many monsters. Like, I have a friend that was also from the Elder Scrolls community, and like, he started playing BDO, and he was like streaming on Twitch as well. And when I watched his streams and stuff, I noticed that he constantly kills monsters and stuff. And I was like so new to BDO, I didn't know what like BDO was about. And then like each time like I checked out any content creators, I saw that they're heavily grinding. So I looked stuff up myself. And the only efficient way to like level, for example, in Black Desert on BDO is like you have to grind monsters over and over again, the same spot, you make your freaking rounds and stuff. And that's how you grind. And I find it actually so annoying if you have to grind from killing like the same monsters all over again for like so many hours, for maybe weeks or multiple days till you max level. I think it's so boring. I think it's more interesting the way you level Final Fantasy XIV now, with like the dungeons giving the most XP. Then you have like questing, and like the main quest often only leaves you like a lack of maybe 2-3 levels that you need to catch up from, maybe doing like some extra dungeon runs or so. But if you wanted to, you can make like one character and level till max from just doing the main story quests, and each maybe 20 levels to like 2-3 extra dungeons, and you can hit max level and max gear and all that. I think it's good that it is like that now.
Patch 1.23
So I hate to grind the games.
Quite fittingly, Friday the 13th of August.
Like grind is good, it should be there, but
with
not too much.
The hardest, and according to most Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 players, the most epic fight ever implemented in 1.0's lifetime, Riven Road. An 8-man trial where the adventurers attack the Dalamud puppet, Nail Van Darnus, on top of a floating island with Dalamud looming above. Defeating Van Darnus concluded the 7th Umbral storyline, with the Legatus dissolving and flowing into Dalamud. Players were left with a burning question. What now? Surely we stopped it, and... what? Dalamud is now blaring in the sky. Time is running out. Eorzea's ethereal balance is out of control. Atomos starts appearing in certain camps around Eorzea, consuming ether from the aetheryte crystals, rendering them inoperable. Atomos also made sure to bring some powerful void-sent enemies with him. Defeating Atomos would drop loot, so it was a very popular thing to farm. Atomos had 2 phases. During the first phase, you could only attack the ads. When reaching the second phase, the aetheryte would turn orange, and Atomos would now be vulnerable to attacks. An announcement was made on September the 11th, 2012 on the Lodestone, letting everyone know that Final Fantasy XIV will shut down entirely on November the 11th, 2012. From September the 29th, the billing procedures were to be suspended, and all account creations and special item codes would no longer be available. And that a letter from the producer live, episode 4, would air 2 hours after the servers were shut down. September the 12th, 2012. Patch 1.23.
Patches even get letters already.
Dalamud is now at its closest. The skies are covered in dark clouds, making it hard to distinguish
Dalamud.
night from day. Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 has received its last patch ever, and the stage is set for the dramatic ending of a deeply troubled game.
Deeply troubled game. But that's true. It was a lot trouble.
All over Eorzea, Eorzeans gather up with their link shells, finally realizing that this is
it happening?
Happening.
Is it that what I was waiting for? That's exactly what I wanted to see. Like the last minutes, the last moments of version 1.0. I think that's it.
In the last week of the game's operation, entry to Eorzea was free for everyone that owned.
But there's your explosion, and then it says you're disconnected from the server.
The last phase of the end of an era project begins.
With
the Garleans are invading Eorzea.
That's
City states prepare for invasion.
That's an
the battle
Imperial
is set
NPC,
to take
not a
place
player.
at the Carteneau Flats. Ul'dah is overrun by rampant monsters, sometimes going completely bonkers.
Holy
the GMs
shit.
clearly had fun, sometimes spawning ridiculous amounts of mobs in Ul'dah, even blatantly duplicating the same mob several times. And this is where we also saw the heartwarming unification of the Final Fantasy XIV community. Everyone involved remembers the Great Gobu Wall, formed by players to protect Ul'dah from the invading forces, to no avail. But the game would not make it easy to enjoy, of course. The servers, which had always run past their limits, now had to deal with all the new content, as well as the influx
it
of
was
players
crashing a
joining
lot.
in on the last day of Eorzea.
Colonel
So the
Fen
servers crashed a lot. On top of all the drama that was playing out all over Eorzea, the default background music changed to a haunting rendition of answers playing everywhere.
A haunting rendition? Wow. Yo, this gives me goosebumps.
Oh, this still gives me the chills.
Yeah, me too.
But for those that were lucky enough not to be kicked every 5 minutes and enjoy the end of 1.0, it was something special. Monsters
so
running
many
rampant
people
in
gathered.
Eorzea is one thing, admittedly a very cool thing, but the atmosphere, the sense of defeat, and the crippling wave of sadness that constantly hit you when the haunting version of Answers played, it was unique. If anything, 1.0
what actually happens to those
feel it,
characters? You have to make a
hard
new
to
one?
replicate anywhere. I know it's really hipster to say this, but you just had to be there to fully understand. Finally, on Sunday, November the 11th, 2012, with players gathering with their Link Shell members and in some cases still fighting Garleans, Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 took its final breath and the servers finally died. Immediately after, a trailer was released, showing what exactly happened after the servers shut down.
Oh, I was correct. Your disconnect from server and then
video game cutscene I have ever seen,
this happens.
showing the desperation as the Eorzean alliance battle against the Garlean Empire, while Dalamud makes its descent above them.
Against the Garlic Empire.
All this happening while the theme song Answers plays in the background. And then, out of the blue, Dalamud drops a heavy object and the moon starts to crack open, revealing that it kept a mighty creature inside. Bahamut. Spreading his wings and immediately starting to destroy
Yeah, summon Bahamut, that's OP, right?
And we, the players, saved by Louis Soir at the very end, sent forward in time to safety. And thus ends the tale of Final Fantasy XIV 1.0.
Wait, sent forward in time, so the people... Oh, that's the backstory of the players that stayed.
A realm reborn rose like a phoenix and lifted the franchise back from the dark depths. Thank you for watching this episode of the Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did and subscribe if you want more. And let me know in the comments if you were there at the end of 1.0 and
yeah, I can't believe it too.
This
Anthony,
series will take a
I
quick
feel the
break
same.
for now, but I'll be back in episode 6 of the Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV
insane, guys.
Don't forget about Remnants of a Realm and Chronicles of a Realm.
Wow, those last
They're both
moments, I
coming
didn't
out
picture
soon.
them like that,
See
and
you
that
there,
them...
and may you
Wow.
ever walk
Yeah, we
the
need to
light
talk
of
about
crystal.
this for a moment, guys. It's over, right? Okay, it's over. So yeah, guys, like, that is actually so freaking cool. Like, I didn't know that this happened like that. That they actually, like, the mods came and they freaking spawned monsters in cities and stuff. And like, people had to like, try to save, like, cities and stuff. Like, that's actually interesting. And then, like, suddenly a disconnect happens. And then what happens? Suddenly a trailer will play. Like, hey, why the heck did I get disconnected? Wait, what's happening? What's this new trailer? Holy shit, my character was just sent to the future. Wow, that means the existing characters, they no longer have this kind of intro, like that Skyrim-like intro where you're on this freaking wagon with this dude, right? So those people that already had a character, their backstories now, they were sent to the future and they know exactly what was going on. And if you make like a new character, you get the intro, you're like a traveler that comes from far lands and you're visiting Eorzea or something, and yeah, you cross the border, not legally or something, and now you're on the... No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, wow. I really like this documentary. I think like Speakers Network did such a great job with it. I'm actually wondering, how did they get like so many informations and stuff? Like, it's very detailed, and like the footage actually, like of the last moments, how they were all on the mount, like trying to make a barricade so no monster can pass through. And that there was actually like a freaking raid where you have to defeat this guy responsible for like Dalamud or something, right? Very interesting. I'm actually wondering like about like the next episode. How many more do I have? So we are now at, that's episode 5. We have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Are you kidding me? We still have 6 more episodes. Holy shit. They got really a lot of information gathered. Very well done, Speakers Network. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I'm actually curious what the next one will be like. I will check it out as well. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. And I'd also really appreciate if you like this video. It will help with the YouTube algorithm. And I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.